when we started recording this record, we started in New York, before we came here to our studio in LA, and we were recording in this crazy studio called Bum Alley, and it was like all old tube board and stuff, and we'd be playing grooves, and then our engineer Mario, we'd look into the room and we'd see him pulling his hair out and kicking the board and beating on it and
crying,
pulling out wires,
screaming,
yelling at the assistant engineer, having fits. And, you know, then we'd listen back to the music and it actually came out sounding really good. So, who knows? The recording techniques. See, a lot of people don't know that because our record, just because the sound is kind of bummy or sounds like not really that rehearsed or not that polished, that they think, you know, we're just doing it real quick and not paying attention to what we're doing. They don't understand that actually there's a lot of skill, patience, and forethought going into our careful EQing and presets and miking technique and all that. You know, and Yaux the Techno was in the group, so perhaps he could elaborate on some of the techniques and skills we're utilizing.
I'll go into that a little bit for you, Mike. So, with advanced technology today, it's something very difficult to get a really whack sound on your record because the microphones and the recording equipment is so good. So you really have to hunt around and really work hard at it to make it sound as bad as we do.
Yeah, like you got to go to a lot of pawn shops, use the recycler, which is a paper here that has all used equipment. By all means necessary. You know, you see some old lady walking down the street with an old beat-up microphone, you might have to go and offer her $20 just to get that mic to make your record sound the way that we want to. Because, you know, if you walk into a new electronics store, you're going to find a lot of good equipment, and that might just ruin what we're trying to do. So if you look around here, you can see that for the most part, you know, there's a couple of high-tech things, but for the most part, really everything is like either from the recycler or pawn shop or something like that.
It's not necessarily cheap, it's just whack. No, it's not even necessarily whack, it's just booty.
Yeah.
Well, we just got different styles that we get into, so we'll get into playing in that style for a little while. Like when we do instrumental stuff, then we'll have that all set up and we'll go on, you know, for a few days we'll mess around and play like instrumentals and then kind of get into hardcore for a couple days, play a couple hardcore songs and
very moody people.
Yeah.
You know. Sometimes we be like in a mellow, jazzy mood, you know, like, and if one of us are, that means we all are, you know?
Yep. Next day we might come in wanting to mosh, play a little hardcore, go off, get into that kind of frame of mind. But I think if I could comment for a second, if I will, I think the big misperception is that like one of us individually, you know, that each of us individually rather are into different styles of music, when actually we're all into different stuff. And, you know, it's just whatever mood strikes our little fancy.
Cool.
It's great idea. It's totally sick. You guys are all sick. Well, I mean, you know, hey, that's what these kids are into these days, you know.
Kids today.
What can you do?
Figure them out.
Look at our neighborhood. Go around wearing baggy clothes. I don't know what
These kids with the baggy clothes, what are they doing?
Well, I think to say we made it happen is a little far-fetched. We just happen to be riding the wave.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anything, maybe we sped up the process. Because essentially, to me, there's a world of people who would be exposed to hip-hop, and we're going to be exposed to hip-hop, whatever. And you now have kids that are probably growing up, say here in America, that grew up on hip-hop as much as they grew up on rock and roll, or as much as they grew up on hardcore, as much as they grew up on any other kind of music. And it's kind of the fruition of that, of kids having grown up on these different forms of music all together and combining that. That's what's happening.
Yeah, it's just like those things are naturally coming together, and we just happen to have grown up in New York where things kind of happen a little quicker than they happen in the rest of the country. Like a lot of times stuff happens there first, so. Yeah, well, they're kind of the same thing in a way. Like emotion-wise, they're really the same, but they just come from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
So.
A lot of people listen to hardcore and they listen to hip-hop, though.
Yeah.
True.
And definitely, like, the energy, too, you know, with the two musics, I think there's definitely a lot of similarities, so.
Can we call it Fruitcake music?
I beg your pardon?
Fruitcake. It's like a little
Wing nut.
little thing you eat. Wingnut's a little like thing you tighten. Yeah, Christmas cake, fruitcake music. Because it has lots of little different colored pieces of fruit in it, and tastes good, and you eat it for a special holiday. Yes.
Beastie Boys' world is a kaleidoscope.
Really, I feel it's just a great hangout. Lots of friends, lots of fun, some food. It's gas for me. It's real gas over here.
A hang.
Yeah. That's all I really, want to express about this place.
Just trying not to limit ourselves, Just trying to blow the doors wide open on our own minds.
On our own minds.
Yeah, it's all just music. Because all the categories kind of overlap in different points, and so it's kind of hard to just make like clear-cut sections. They just overlap, and we just try and overlap them a little more if we can.
And definitely in terms of, I think, the evolution of hip-hop, or evolution of music in general, you've got, say, hip-hop or rap, which probably started, with people taking 2 copies of records and rapping over them, and it might be a rock beat like Aerosmith or Billy Squier, and then hooking that up, and then combining maybe something with a jazzy feel on top of that. And then, so you're drawing from all different sources, and I don't think there's so much really color lines along that in terms of, okay, well, I'm only going to sample this kind of music or only that kind of music. And, you're going to use whatever has come before you to make something new, and whatever's going to work in terms of making some new expression. Well, I mean, there's something to be good you can take from whatever kind of music, and it's really not about categories and not about defining yourself by these categories, but just, to me, that's one of the most amazing things with music anyways. I know that, at least myself, I'm never going to run out of sources of inspiration, or never run out of kinds of music that I'm going to discover, or records that I'm going to discover. There's endless possibilities there.